Hello everyone, my name is Bhavna Singh. I am working as an assistant professor at St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management, Gurgaon. This is an online tutorial on software engineering. So let's begin with today's session. Students, this is our lecture 4 of Unit 1, and this lecture we will discuss about data flow diagram. What are the goals of data flow diagram? What are the symbols that we use in data flow diagram? Then what is data dictionary? What are its various advantages and disadvantages? Why do we need data dictionary? And then we will discuss about ER diagram, that is entity relationship diagram. Now first of all we will talk about data flow diagram, that is DFD. What is DFD? It is the diagrams which depict the flow of data through the system. It is the diagram which express system requirements in a graphical form. It is very useful in understanding a system. It can be effectively used during analysis. That means we are discussing about the flow of information inside the system, that how things are going inside a system. It describes all the processes that are involved in the system to transfer that data from one input, and it then stores it into the file storage, and in very complex cases it also sometimes generates the report on the basis of that data that we have already stored. And DFD graphically represents all the functions, all the processes which captures, or you can say which store and distribute these data between the system. And the system can be any company or any organization, and this DFD, it represents all the processes and all the operations that are going inside a system, that how the input the user is that the user is providing is converted into a particular output, and how all the things are going inside that system. So all these things that are represented inside the system is known as depicted by the DFD, that is data flow diagram. Now these are the goals of a data flow diagram. The first one is to provide an overview of what a system would process. That means how the information is entering the system and leaving the system, what are the changes that the information is undergoing, and where that information is stored. So basically it is showing the graphical representation of the overall information, because the visual representation of any information is very much easy to understand, and it also serves as a communication tool between the user and the system designer. Then the second point is to provide hierarchical breakdown of the system, which means that the DFD decomposes the entire system into certain levels. For example, it begins with the context diagram as level 0 of the DFD diagram, which is a very simple representation of the whole system. That is, we are representing we are representing the entire system as a level 0, which is context diagram. Then further, the system designers, they decompose this level into level 1 diagram with some lower level functions. Then further it decomposed into level 2 with further lower functions. So it goes on and on until the entire hierarchy is maintained according to the functionalities. Then the third goal is to show what files are used and where the result flows. That means from where the files are coming, from where the input is coming, what is the source of this input, and from where they are storing into the database, or from where the result is going on and storing. Then the fourth one is to document information flow within the system. That means whatever processes is going on, the designers or the analysts, they are maintaining a proper documentation for that. Now, while creating data flow diagrams or while representing the information graphically, we use certain symbols, and these symbols are, first one is square. This symbol is used to represent the source or the destination of the data. Means we use the square symbol to represent the source from where the input is coming. Then second one, we have arrow, which is used to identify the data flow. That means from where the data is coming and from where to where it is going, it is shown by the arrow. Then the third one, we have circle, or you can say bubble. This circle is used to represent a process. Process means that which is converting the incoming data into the outgoing data. So it can be represented by a circle, or you can say a bubble. Then we have open rectangle. Open rectangle represents the data storage, from where our output is storing, from where our result is storing. So all these symbols, they are making the entire DFT, and they represents the information flow that is going on inside the system. Now these are the graphical representation of all the symbols that we are using in data flow diagram. The first one represents the process. This oval shape, it denotes the process in the DFT that is used to transform the incoming input into the outgoing output. The second one is the open rectangle, that is representing the data storage. Then we have third one, this is the square. It represents the external entity, which is the source of the incoming data, from where our data is coming. And the last one, the arrow, it representing the flow of data inside the system. So all these symbols we are using in the DFT to represent the information flow graphically. Now the symbols that we have discussed in the previous slide, these are categorized into 4 categories. The first one is external entity symbol. This external entity symbol, it is represented by the square symbol that we have already discussed, and it represents the source of data to the destination of data from the system. Then second one, we have data flow symbol. In the previous slides also we have discussed about is the arrow symbol, which is representing the flow of information, or you can say the flow of data, and it is representing the path over which the data is traveling inside the system. Then we have third category, that is the function symbol. That means what is the function that is going on inside the system, or what is the function that is performing inside the system to convert the input into the output. So all these are represented by the function symbol. So it is represented graphically as a circle. That means we represent it with the help of a circle symbol, or you can say a oval symbol. Then some system analysts, they use an oval or a rectangle with round edges to represent that functions. So it depends upon system analyst to system analyst, and they can use, some use circle and some use oval shape. Then fourth one, we have the data store symbol that we have already discussed as an open rectangle. It is used to represent the data storage, from where the data is placed temporarily, or it can be placed permanently, and it is storing there. So it is a place where data is held temporarily from one transaction to the next, or it is stored permanently there. Now students, these are the steps that we use to develop a DFT. First of all, we create a context level diagram that we have already discussed, that we decompose the entire system into a hierarchy, and we start with the context level diagram, that is the level 0. Then we decompose this context level diagram into a second level DFT, that is also known as level 1 DFT, and further we decompose this second level DFT into an elementary level DFT, that is level 1, then decomposed into level 2, then decomposed into level 3. So like this ways, all the levels of diagrams, they explained in detail the actual process that is going on inside the system. So let us understand the levels of DFT with the help of this diagram. This is an example of an online shopping portal. In this, the context level diagram, that is the 0 level DFT, it represents the entire system as a single process with all the inputs and outputs data indicated by the incoming and outgoing arrows. In this figure, you can see that the online shopping portal, it is a single process, and all the admin, buyer and seller, these are the external entities that are connected to the process. So in this, the entire system, it is represented as a single process only. So this is 0 level DFT. On the other hand, when we decompose this 0 level DFT into one step deeper, that becomes the first level DFT. As you can see in the picture also, that the context diagram, it is decomposed into the multiple processes. That is the single process that we have used in the context level diagram, that is the 0 level diagram. it is decomposed into the multiple processes. As you can see that the online shopping portal, which was used as a single process in context level DFT, now it is decomposed into registration process, login process, searching product process, purchase, product management, category management, and order management. So one single process we have decomposed into multiple processes in the first level DFT. This is what we were talking about in the previous slide also, that the context level diagram, it is decomposed into multiple processes, which becomes the first level diagram. And when we further decompose these processes into another multiple processes, then that diagram becomes the second level diagram. And in this way we break down all the high level processes into the sub processes. And you can see in this diagram that the buyer, seller, admin, all these are the external entities: registration, login, searching product, purchase, product management, category management, order management. All these are the processes that are the sub process of the single process of online shopping portal. And then the user, category, product, order details, all these are the data stored, in which our final result is stored permanently, or you can say temporarily also. Now the next topic is data dictionary. What is the meaning of this term data dictionary? Dictionary means the storage system, or you can say it's a kind of repository that is storing the meaning of something or meaning of some word. So similarly, in case of database also, data dictionary is kind of repository which is storing the data about the data, and this data about the data is also known as metadata. So in simple terms we can define it that this data dictionary, it is holding all the description about the data that we are entering into the database. For example, I have created a table in the database, and this table includes name, roll number, class, fields names, right? So if in that case, what will be the data types of each field and what will be the constraints that will apply to the table? So all these things are described in the data dictionary, and it stores all the details, all the description about how the data is flowing in the entire system. What will be the source, what will be the process, where the data will go and store. So all these things, these are maintained by the data dictionary. Now, what is the need of this data dictionary? Why do we use it? Because we need to search, we need to have entire detail of the database, that what data types are we are using, what data is stored in the database, what is the name of that table, what are the constraints that are applied to the table. So to answer all these questions, we require data dictionary. And it also help us to search for a particular data item, or to build the database, or we can easily locate the errors in the systems. So like this, using data dictionary, we have the entire picture of how the data is flowing in the database system. Now next we'll talk about the components of data dictionary. The first one is data element. Data element, you can say like a building blocks for all the data that is stored in the database system, or you can say, for example, in a table we have name, roll number. So all these fields, these are the data elements. We can consider them as a data elements. And these data elements, they consist of the following terms. Like first one is data name, that what unique name we are giving to the data item. It is each element is referred by its name, so it will be easy for us to recognize that particular element. Then the second one is data description. It is the brief description of what that element is representing. Then third one is aliases. Aliases are nothing but the synonyms that we are using. Synonyms means the other names that we can give to that element. Then the next one is length. Length, it identifies that what is the number of spaces that we required for each data item, and how much space it will acquire in the memory. Then the last one is data value. Data value means it specifies that what value is given to that particular element. So these are the components of the data elements. Next one is, we talk about data structure. Data structure, it describes all the items, all the data items that are present in the database, that how they are related to each other. It also represents the data flows and the data stores. So all these things, that for example, we take an example like we have an expression that is x equal to a plus b. So this expression, the meaning of this expression is will be x consists of data elements a and b. So like this, it represents all the meaning of the symbols, so that it become easy for us to recognize that particular item. Now we will discuss about the entity relationship diagram, that is the ER diagram. What is the need of ER diagram? Why are we using an ER diagram? We are using it because in software development process we are creating a database also, so that all the results or all the output we can store into it, and all the information regarding the development process, regarding the customers, and regarding all the processes we can store in a database also. So that database we can represent in the graphical form also, and that graphical representation of the logical database is known as the entity relationship diagram. That means we are representing the entire structure of that database in the form of a diagram, which is also known as entity relationship diagram. So ER diagram is a graphical logical structure of a database. It represents all the entities involved in the logical structure. It represents constituents of the entities, and it represents relationship between the entities. Here we will talk about the entities, the attributes, the relationships. Why we are talking about these things? Because all these things, they comprises and they making together the entity relationship diagram. Now we will discuss all the components of the ER diagram one by one. The first one is entity. What is an entity? An entity is an object or a component of data. It is represented as rectangle in an ER diagram. That means entity means a object. You can say anything, any object that exists in the real world. For example, a student, a car, a chair. All these objects that are existing in the real world, all these things are we represent as a entity. Then second one, we have attributes. An attribute describes the property of an entity, and it is represented as an oval shape in an ER diagram. That means all those entities, they are possessing some attributes, they are possessing some properties. That means, for example, if we have a student entity, then that student name, student age, student address, all these things, these are the properties of the entity that are recognizing the student. So these are the attributes. Then third one, we have relationship. A relationship is represented by a diamond shape, and it shows the relationship among entities. Means it shows the relationship between entities and how these entities are connected to one another. So all these components, that is the entities, attributes and relationships, these are all used in the ER diagram, and with the help of these things we make a logical structure converted into the graphical representation of the database. Now let us understand the concept of ER diagram with the help of this example. You can see in this example, student and college, these are the entities, and we have represented them as a rectangular shape. And these student and college, these are possessing some attributes, that is the properties which are defining these entities, that is the student ID, the student name, the student address. These are the attributes that are defining a particular entity. Then we have a relationship which is represented as a diamond shape, and it is study in. It is connecting the both the entities, that is student and college. These are connected with the relationship that is study in. And for college entity, we have the attributes like college ID and college name. So basically, entities are the objects that are existing in the real world. That means student and college, these are the entities, and these are the objects of real world. And the attributes, that is the properties that are defining that particular entity, we represent this as an attribute. Like a student, it can be recognized by his name, by its ID, or you can say by its age or by its address. Similarly, the college can be represented by, or college can be recognized by the college ID or the college name. So the properties that define a particular entity are known as the attribute. And this relationship, which is represented in the diamond shape, that is study in, it is connecting both the entities, that is student is studying in this college. So this is a relationship which is connecting both the entities. Now these are the symbols that we use while drawing an ER diagram. First one is the entity, or you can say a strong entity. It is represented by a rectangular shape, and this is the name of the entity. Then second one, we have the weak entity types, which is represented by the double rectangular boxes. Then we have the attribute. These are represented by the ellipse. Then we have multi-valued attributes. These are represented as double ellipse. Then this diamond shape, it represents the relationship, that is what is the connection between two entities. And the double diamond shape, it represents the weak relationship. So all these things, all these symbols we use to create an ER diagram whenever we create the graphical representation of the logical structure of a particular database. Students, these are the important questions that you should study, and these questions are important from the examination point of view also. Sometimes they can be asked in the examination, so do prepare them. The first one is, what is an ER diagram? That is, you have to explain what is an ER diagram with all its symbols, and then you have to create an ER diagram of the library management system. Okay, then the second one is, you have to explain the context level diagram and the detail level diagram that we have already discussed. You can explain it with the help of an example, like you can take any example like library management system or online shopping system or online website system. You can take any example and explain these questions. So this was all about today. I hope it was a fruitful session for all of you. Thank you so much for watching.